I want to thank you merchants for how you handled this last phase that we did downtown, and we learned a lot going through that phase, and hopefully we can implement some of those things at this next phase. So we're very proud of our downtown and what it looks like, and excited about where we're going with this next phase. And I'm going to this time turn it over to Justin Barrett. He's going to lead us into this and give you information on how this one is going to be handled. And hopefully it's going to be able to run a little smoother than the last one did, and we'll get through with this project and get out of your way. Justin.
All right, welcome. As the mayor said, we're just going to talk about the next phase of the project. We have Jeff and Elle here with Goodwill's K-Wood, and then we have Tony here with Leslie Construction, contractor who has won the bid through the ALDOT process. Kind of introduce the project to you, what actually got approved from ALDOT, give you our what we understand to be the approach today, given the information that we have, and then try to answer any questions you guys have as we work together to get this thing done. If we don't have the answers, we'll get them to you as soon as possible. So this is overview downtown, and
some of you may have seen this because we presented renderings in some of the other public meetings. This is just the same type of rendering showing the overall layout of ultimately what the intersection will look like.
All right, so this one's going to be, so this will be 4 phases. Basically, this project will cover Company Street, the roundabout, and Gill Street. So the first phase, and we're using phases very loosely. I don't want to insinuate that we're going to do this first and this second and this third. This project is a project on its own. Phase 2 will be a project on its own. Phase 3 will be a project on its own. Phase 4 will be a project on its own. Each project has different sections. So we may finish one section in one phase and go to another phase and finish the section and come back. We're going to have to be very flexible given the different issues that we may run into. So phase 3 will be the left side of phase 2 will be the left side of Gill Street.
And one thing now I want to point out, the phase 1 section is one of the more complicated parts of this project. Obviously, there's steps, there's elevation, height differences, and so it's different than any of the other pieces that we've done so far in downtown for the most part. So we've kind of got Hill Street over here as phase 2, but it's also a backup, if you will, because when we start working on this, we don't know exactly what we might get into. We may run into some complications, and we don't want the contractor just sitting waiting on decisions and answers. So we want to make sure we've got something, like he said, this is all loose. But these are the 2 areas that we're going to be focusing on, at the start.
Phase 3 will be the left side of the street here, and I hate making statements, but just for communication, we don't expect as many problems here as we expect on the right side of the street. Now, do not take that in writing, but we're just trying to give you the information that we have today in the way we understand today. The right side of the street
less known challenges. Yeah, maybe that's the way. It's less known challenges.
And then phase 4 will be the roundabout, and this will be probably, it would definitely be the most complicated part of the project and will be the most intrusive to the downtown area. Phase 1, 2, and 3, we have a good plan to approach this to be amenable to everybody in the situation. Phase 4, everybody might be flexible to get this phase done. Everything depends on weather, utilities. It's a big wild card once we get to there. So,
It's the most disruptive to traffic, obviously.
so phase one is split up into 4 sections. The first section, this is kind of going to be our approach, is define a section here, kind of block off a few parking spaces, minimize the number of parking spaces that we do block off to the best extent possible, and then complete, rip out a total section, which is expected to take about a week, and then replace that total section, which is expected to take about 3 weeks. 2 weeks, sorry, so 3 weeks total per section is what we're estimating on a construction timeline. Obviously, with weather and different issues, it may take a little bit longer, a little bit shorter time, but that's kind of what we're expecting to do. It's kind of laid out by section, it's about 3 week segments. And there's, once we get to the plan,
is to get this section removed and have all of the new concrete back in place before we move to the next section. There may be a little overlap, but the idea is to work on this and get this done and then move to the next section and so forth. That way we're not disrupting the entire block.
There's an upper and lower sidewalk going in on this side. We'll get to that in a minute when we get to the plan set. But there's walls in between these things. There's 4 walls down Company Street, so that's what we're calling 4 sections. We need those walls to be poured in a continuous pour, and that's why we that's why we split it up like we've had from a construction scheduling standpoint. Section 2, again, it would be the same type of approach. It would be that next section, the wall section, to get the handicap ramps in and the steps in and that kind of stuff in this section, and then we'll move to the next section.
And I will add, it may not look exactly like this. I mean, I'm showing these, drum barrels, and it may be cones, something like that, but this is just a representation of, wherever they're working, they're gonna have to rope off and close some of the parking spaces for, for their man equipment and other things. So, just to give you a visual idea of what it might look like when they're working in that area.
So section 3 is moving on down the block, same situation, and section 4 is the final section of the east side of Company Street. And like I said, we may do 2 sections on Company Street and jump over Hill Street, depending on the timing and wherever we find as we move down. Our goal is to maintain access to buildings, businesses, and streets as much as possible. And then the phase 2 would be Hill Street. And we have kind of split this up into 2 sections just because of the length of Hill Street. The first one would start down towards the end near Orline and go towards the middle of the block here. And then the second section would be from the middle of the block back down to the old Tim's Field here. The end of the project's got to come back. There's a lamp post there now. That's basically where the project's going to start or end on Hill Street. The west side of Company Street we have is 1 section. No, we have that in 2 sections as well. So from the alleyway down, past the Western Auto building, and then from the Western Auto building to the roundabout.
Don't read anything into some of the business things.
So this section and the last section on the east side of Company Street could be incorporated into phase 4 with a roundabout, depending on how the road super elevations and grades work out too. So,
and where you see this orange shaded area start and finish, I mean, even those are just general. I mean, they may not be exactly where they start and finish each section, but it's really more just intended to kind of show you the general approach that we're taking, as we try to work from one end of the block.
All right, so phase 4 is roundabout, and this one's going to be a little bit hairy for all of us. All right, so we have a traffic control plan that we expect it to be, and we all know plans are meant to be broken, right? So let's all keep that in mind and be flexible.
There's the old saying in boxing that everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. So this is what we're starting with, and we'll see how hard we get punched.
So this is phase 4 and roundabout, and we intend on making Hill Street 2-way traffic. So to get traffic in and out of town. And we're probably gonna have to use the old city lot to perform this as well. Our intentions here to use Company Street is to turn it into a two-way, just to let people go in, park, and get back out. So get in, get to the businesses, and get back out. They would be exiting back out.
What you don't see is there's gonna be cones,
Stop sign,
other types of, you know, typical construction devices. You know, that would guide people. And if we need to have to put up some extra signs just to, you know, clarify what needs to happen, and we'll deal with that.
So the main thing is communication. My contact info and Jeff's contact info is at the end, John as well. We're all available. We're working closely with Main Street, and the chamber and everybody involved. We're going to meet once a week communicating. Okay, this is what we're going to be expecting. So as you guys feed us information, we can make those adjustments and make sure you guys are made aware of what's going to happen as well. The contractor is required by ALDOT to give weekly updates. So those will be coming out, you guys, in some form on what to expect next week. But the main thing, I know it's much more complicated than what's on this sheet of paper here. You know, we're talking about getting deliveries to and from restaurants. I understand that. We got to communicate. We can help block the street off and get your truck where you need to go to get your delivery. We understand. We're all going to have to be flexible in all this.
Well, and the people that are gonna be doing the work are gonna be right outside your door, you know, and so, I mean, that's one of the reasons I've asked, you know, Tony to be here. He works with the contractors just so you can, you know, recognize somebody, you know, that's likely to be out there, standing on the ground. You know, if he's not out there, you know, we're gonna have some people out there, and we've already talked about, you know, us making the first contact with y'all. So, I mean, day one, somebody's gonna be knocking on your door and walking in and introducing themselves and, you know, asking if there's any special needs, if there's any, you know, when your delivery dates are, anything that you think is relevant that we need to know so that we can try to make adjustments, to work around and make, you know, an inconvenient time as, you know, as little inconvenience as we can.
Does phase 4, the roundabout, is that important time that Hill Street becomes two-way traffic?
Correct, yes.
And you get to phase 4?
Correct, yes. We want to leave it, while we're working on phase 1, 2, and 3, we want to leave all traffic exactly the way it is now and just work, you know, close parking spaces where we need to work, but leave it all traffic exactly kind of how it is now.
Okay, city parking lots are going to be available. You said at some point it's going to be affected. Is that going to be in stage 4?
What we've discussed with the contractor, is their work will be impeding into the public parking now. So where the old recycling center used to be will remain open throughout the whole project for people to park there and walk into town.
So to make this work, merchants that have normally parked in the front door of their business or took up a parking space are going to have to find off-street parking somewhere in the city parking lot, the one next to Coach's Corner.
Right.
Or in the new lot up there.
Yeah. And yeah, the new lot is just off the page here and the city lots here. I think it would be preferred if we could use this new lot because we may have to use the old city lot to get traffic in and out.
During this phase.
Yeah, during this phase. So,
Right.
Would there be any need for us to try to run a shuttle from that furthest parking lot?
I mean, I can see getting used for that, how that works. You know, we'd have to figure out time today and who does it. And I mean, I think it's a great idea.
I mean, I think that's a good idea if, particularly if we determine there's a need for it. I mean, I think that's you know, a lot of this project is going to be, you know, reacting to what happens. So we're gonna have to kind of make some, changes, decisions on the fly, see what's working, see what's
So
not.
for an individual that's been affected in that section of town to say, well, I'll just park my car down on East Bridge Street or Court Street, that's not helping the situation at all, right?
Probably not, because then whoever is used to parking there is now not gonna, have a parking space, so.
Yeah, we're gonna,
Ideally, you're correct, is, to keep normal traffic, and parking as it is in downtown without overflowing, Bridge Street and Court Street, that would be the ideal places, would be to try to park, in some of these lots, if you can.
and what we expect, or what we understand the contractor's experience in other cities, they've done this type of work in other cities, is basically demo day, right in front of your business may be a tough day. And then the day they pour concrete back might be a tough day. I ask you, please be flexible with us there. They have plans to build, forms and everything to go over their concrete forms to get people from their sidewalk safely to your business. But those 2 days are gonna be days that we're just gonna be hard to avoid. And that's where the communication comes in. I know for some of you guys, Monday and Tuesday may be best to do that. For some of you, Saturday may be best to do that. And we're gonna try to be as flexible as we can. Also, building materials and construction materials are, wild and crazy right now. So getting concrete on the day you want concrete, it might be tough. So we have a lot of different variables, a lot of things going on that are outside of our control, and we're going to do our best to control what we can control and work with what we can.
Yeah, variables, the weather, you may have it all set and ready to, pour concrete the next morning and then it rains. There's also temperature, restrictions on when you can pour concrete. So, and this time of year is kind of a double-edged sword, because it's the time of the year when, it's cold, and so there's probably not as many people out and shopping and doing the other things in downtown, which is why we try to do this time of the year. It's probably the most off-peak time that we can do it, but it's also the worst time to do it in regards to weather. So that's just going to be another one of those variables we'll just have to work around, and and it can extend some of those time frames we talked about. So,
as far as timing, the contractor expects to mobilize and be on site February 22nd. And they have, per the contract, they have 175 working days. So
to do the entire project.
5 days to be able to construct. So 175 working days could end up being 9 months. Or a little bit longer to get those 175 working days there. So that's kind of the timeline that we're working on. And again, we're going to be in different parts, and it's not going to affect you for the 180 days, but it will affect downtown as a whole for 180 days.
But judging by the phases we talked about, if I had to guess, I would say all of the sidewalks and everything, the phase 1, 2, and 3, would probably be about the first half of that, and then that intersection and doing all of that would be the second half of that.
So
probably about half and half.
As for what's going to happen, the west side of Hill Street, that'd be phase 2 that we have outlined. We are planning to leave the asphalt in place and leave the curb in place, and basically replace all the sidewalk, put in the planters, and put the decorative ornamental stuff down the sidewalk. All right, so no curb is planned to be removed from Hill Street on Hill Street. All right. The same thing, the similar thing's going to happen on the west side of Company Street, which would be phase 3. The curb is coming out there, but it's basically going to be poured back in the same place at the same elevation. It's going to be basically pull out the place just like it is. It's just we're adding the lights and the ornamental planters and stuff down the sidewalk. Phase one, which was the east side of Company Street, we're planning to super elevate the road, which means a single slope road. So today it's crowned in the middle. Water slopes off this way towards the alleyway, and water slopes off this way towards the Cleveland, right, all the way down the street. So, and as y'all know, there's 4 steps, sometimes 5 there to get up to there. So, in part of doing all this is we're trying to be consistent with the ADA requirements. And to be able to meet those things, meet those requirements, we're going to be single sloping this road. So there'll be about 18 inches. The road's going to be raised on the east side of Company Street. Right, plus or minus, but on average 12, 18 inches. And then there will be a curve here with a lower sidewalk on it, and then there'll be a wall and an upper sidewalk.
Is that gonna mean new asphalt?
Yes.
Okay, I seen that.
Yes. Yeah, new asphalt, new paint, new striping and everything on Company Street and everything's in it. There will be sections, I don't know if we have a plan for you on here, but anyway, there will be sections where we have a handicap ramp that's in between here, that goes from this level to that level, and the wall. Yeah. And the wall will be adjusted there. So that's, again, the east side of Company Street is going to be the most complicated due to the age and the unexpected barriers, but it's also going to be the most intrusive in regards to what's actually happening there. So we're raising the road, we're raising the sidewalks. There's a lot of things going on the east side of Apron Street. We're planning on working on. We expect to work on some of the sewer stuff. We expect to work on some of the water lines, just because of the age of the infrastructure. So this opportunity to get all that stuff right once it comes out.
We're taking out steps and sidewalks that have been there for about 100 years.
Yeah.
And so whoever was around when all of that was done is no longer around anymore. So, the only way we can find out what's under and how far under, is it directly below? I mean, until we get in there and start taking this stuff out, we don't really know what we might come across. So we're kind of expecting to have to, react to what we find. We got our fingers crossed, and hope we don't find much, but you never know.
So this is a picture of a similar project performed in another city. So this is kind of where we're headed. Again, to give you a little bit of different visual. The lower sidewalk here with a step up to the upper sidewalk, and due to some of the space constraints, we're not going to have basically this sidewalk and this sidewalk will be vertically on top of each other at the edge. We won't have the planters in it, just because of our space that we have. But this gives you another visual of what's going to happen on the right side, the east side of Company Street. So, with that being said, yeah, we can go back to that you can kind of see here. There's a wall that starts there, goes down the center of this, and you come to those steps that we've shown in the other. There's another wall comes down here. So this side is the lower sidewalk. This side will be the upper sidewalk at the elevation of the doors that are currently there. And then you can see here where this wall kind of comes there and then juts out, give space for a handicap ramp to come up. So that's kind of what how the handicap ramp ties into that. So
when people would park, they would just either have to, go this way or this way to the nearest steps that would take you up to the upper part. And then the entire upper part, is all even with all the building bases. So, and then you can see where there's some islands that we're putting in at 2 places, just to add some character to it. One thing I will mention, when we talk about, when we first start, where, we're, I think about a week to remove, the first section, and then another 2 weeks to, kind of get it back. When I say finished, I mean the concrete is poured. A lot of things don't really get put in, like the actual light poles don't get put in until kind of the very end of the project. because we've got lights going everywhere, and so, the guy that puts the lights in wants to come in and put them all up at the same time. He doesn't want to have to come out every so often and put up two poles. So when we say get that section finished, it's the concrete's finished and likely would not even have the finished handrail. We'd have just some temporary wooden handrails along it, because the handrail is kind of the same thing. It's going to be, that whole section, would probably, the whole side of the company would need to be finished before it warranted having the guy to come out and put up all the new handrail.
Can you talk a little bit about how the connection to on the core line and Company Street where the new parking area is up there? What's going to be done to connect the city to that?
Here,
Yeah.
there's planning on putting the sidewalk all the way up to
From a pedestrian standpoint, or from a like a walking?
yeah, there'll be a sidewalk put in from the roundabout up to the parking area.
Right, yeah, there's a sidewalk that extends, all the way up, and so once you get on that sidewalk, put your laser around that first crosswalk. Yeah, right there. That crosswalk is actually going to be what they call a speed table. Some people call them traffic humps, where it slopes up and then the crosswalk is kind of elevated above the road. The main reason that we did it that way is for pedestrian safety. A lot of people today are used to probably going up Company Street, zipping through that intersection and just keep, heading on up Company Street. And so we were a little worried that the traffic flow for this route coming through this way, we wanted to do everything we can to slow people down for that very reason, because of pedestrians here. And that's one of the features we came up with, was to put in this hump, if you will. So to force people, we already have this designed to where you cannot go too fast to get around this roundabout. And we even made this opening between these two islands. We could have made it wider, but if we made it wider, it's easier for people to go fast. So we made this a little restricted. And then this was the last traffic calming feature, is to have to actually slow to go over this hump, just to keep all the traffic through here at a slower speed.
Is the hump pavers or is it asphalt or?
Yes, these are brick pavers. Where the crosswalks are, those are brick pavers, those are brick pavers.
It'll look just like that, like fresh space down here.
So
That's paint though. Right now it's just paint and asphalt at the streetscapes for that gardening area.
Yes, these just have the regular crosswalks and the asphalt.
Right.
But on these, with the roundabout, we decided to actually put the brick pavers at the crosswalk, just to make this whole, roundabout, just more aesthetic.
Yep.
So, this right here is similar to this one, because this was the other traffic movement that we were concerned about. That people are used to coming through here and probably zipping through this movement. And so we did the same thing with this crosswalk, where it's elevated, it's got the traffic hump, where as you come through, you have to slow down to go, hump up over the crosswalk and back down. So,
How difficult is that gonna be for an 18-wheeler?
it can be done, because I had to prove it. Now, this
I
area.
just asked, 'cause we have about 4 a week come right behind the building right now on Company Street, and go down the hill and go into that where it's currently at. And I'm
We've
just
looked
curious
at
how they're
this.
gonna maneuver through there.
Yeah, obviously, it's not designed for a lot of 18-wheelers, but we do have to make sure that if one comes through, that it can get through.
Cause I know coaches get some I don't know which direction they come from for them, but.
There won't be any curve around the roundabout, it's a drive-over curve, so 18-wheeler trailers can have more room to get around.
I just don't want, I mean, I'm looking at it from the perspective they're gonna tear the curb. But-
Yeah, no, there's no curve there, it's level, there's no raised anything in that roundabout, they could go across the center of it if there was.
Right, yeah, this whole peak area right through here is all the same type of brick as these crosswalks. And it's there for a purpose, they actually, we call it a truck apron.
Okay.
For those situations where if a large vehicle came through and cannot make it just, using the regular asphalt, that they can, track over the curb and into the truck apron for them to be able to get through. So, and I've looked at it, those huge interstate trucks, like the big ones, which I can't imagine you would ever need, one of those huge ones coming through here, but
Theoretically,
he can get through it, he may have to go real slow and he may be all up on this to get through it, but he can do it.
At the conclusion, will there be some directional road signage, like one-way signs?
Yes, yeah, oh yeah, it's, we actually have a drawing, but there's all kinds of signs that you have to have. There's signs down here that have a little symbol that shows that a roundabout is approaching. In the actual meeting, in this grass area, we have signs approaching each, it's those orange and black arrows that all point kind of one direction. So there's all kinds of signs through here, once it's all finished.
As they're doing the sidewalk on Company Street, I'm the only business that has 2 little extra steps to get up into my business. Is it going to be flush to the port?
Yes, trying to think of the name of it.
St. Wizards?
Yes, St. Wizards, yes, there's a brick step, and then it's step on the brick step and then step up to the landing area.
Right.
The way we have it set up right now is we're raising the concrete up even with the landing area and removing that first step. So if that's not what you want, come talk to me afterwards.
Right now it's not ADA approved.
Exactly, and that's why we did it that way. We want to get ADA access, to your door opening. Now, we can't do anything beyond the threshold. Some businesses, once you kind of walk into that first threshold, it's a step up to get into the doorway. We can't work in that because that's kind of off city property. But that's the plan we have, is for all the sidewalk is going to meet whatever the grade of the threshold is, along the base of the building. So that is the plan right there, is to raise it up, remove that first set of steps, and get up even with that threshold.
Are there any plans on Hill Street to put any kind of like handicap access, or is it just on the ends? So I know right now, technically, it's right there where the old pharmacy is, but.
Down here?
Yeah.
Not right now.
We weren't planning on taking out the curb, so
Yeah.
as per the plan, it'll be all the same as it is today.
And the light poles or the telephone poles, they're staying, right?
Yeah. Any other questions?
Is there any possibility that our downtown will do the same thing on Bridge Street that they did on Company?
I'd love for it to, and only time will tell. I think we had a huge win with them this year, what we did on Company Street. Part of that was because they were already moving. As part of this contract, they had to do 5 holes for the roundabout, so we were able to take advantage of that opportunity to do what needs to be done at the rest of the town. I agree with you, but hopefully time will help us out there.
Can I add something?
Yes, sir.
All of this that you see and what has been done just changes us completely downtown. As to how we operate, things that you're going to need down there that you don't have. Trash pickup, we're looking at it totally different now. Chapel is in the process of, we're looking at buying our own truck for downtown, to compacting truck, right? To where we can handle all of that and then do a schedule where we pick up daily, to where cans are not out on the street. And so we're doing that. There's a study being done on it. Then there's a study being done on parking. How can we get additional parking? The street up behind, Cleaver, up in there, that street is not a city street. It's an alley. It's actually owned by those merchants. Their property lines come across those streets. But we're looking at what is the possibility of cutting into that embankment to widen that back there to where you could get some side street parking in there. So we're looking at different options. The county has a parking lot up here, what they've done, and then the relief that they got on the other side, when they built the new parking lot, took a lot of people off of Hill Street. What's about to happen on the corner where the old drugstore was, it's going to be awesome for downtown. And it's going to put feet on the streets every day in downtown. So we gotta make sure we do our part to allow that to happen. A business such as this nature of this business can operate downtown. And we have other things. If you don't believe that you put a building up for sale in downtown Wetumpka today, it won't last long. It won't last long. There are people looking, there are people interested, and they want to come to Wetumpka. And you have to give credit. You have to give credit to you people who chose to make a decision to come down and be a part of this. Nobody's twisting your arm except you. I know we did. We worked on real hard to get you, but you made a conscious choice to come downtown Wetumpka and run a business. And we want to help you make the best we can. We are also looking at how we can participate in some advertising program with you folks to help your businesses. So the Chamber of Commerce, Main Street, the City of Wetumpka, we want to help you. But bring it to us before you put it on Facebook. Okay? Bring your problem to us before you put it on Facebook, because it's a possibility we can help you with it. I don't think Facebook can help you with it out there, but they can spread it. But anyhow, I want to thank you. You guys have done a great job. I'm excited about this. It's going to take a lot of patience. But construction guys, are you the construction guys? Let me tell you something, you got your work cut out for you, because the last group was in here. We fell in love with that group. Okay? They were awesome. And they worked with these merchants. So, okay. We're excited about that. Thank you.
All right, any other questions on the project? I want to stress that I'm here to help y'all, so communicate with me, Shelley, Jenny, Lynn. We're here to facilitate you guys, so.
And be looking, I mean, somebody's gonna be communicating with you. I mean, you show up to work, to your business, and somebody is working in front of your doorway, and you didn't know they were gonna be there, and we messed up somehow. So if that happens, definitely reach out to us, but our goal going into it is that won't happen. Somebody's gonna be working in front of your business, you're gonna know, ahead of time. It may be the day before, but somehow we want to at least, communicate with you what's going on so that y'all can, adjust, schedule, do whatever it is that y'all need to do, but we want y'all to know what's going on. So if you do find yourself in that situation where something happened that you didn't know ahead of time, definitely, just let us know and we'll rectify that.
I can't speak for everyone, but if you guys, so that communication, the more you let us know, the better, because some of the businesses are really small, they have 1 or 2 employees, but like ours, we have like 30, and I mean, if I got 12 people scheduled and I show up and we can't open, that's costing me double the money, A, because I can't open, but B, and I only say that, and believe me, this is all for the greater good, and I love it, and the people that know me know that. But there's some challenges we've had recently, like, we literally would show up, and the streets were closed, we didn't have any idea they were gonna be closed. So all of my, I know you guys are saying communicate, I'm just saying please do.
Right.
We can adjust, and we can adapt, and we can make it better for the greater good for all of us, but we need to know what to adjust to so we can adjust.
Well,
We talked with the contractor as well.
Yeah, the more sidewalks we can get finished, the better. And that's part of the reason why we're approaching it the way we are, with, getting some of these sidewalk stuff, just trying to get those done. We don't know, it all depends on when. I mean, we certainly don't think we can get them all done by the time the first one airs, but we will try to get as much as we can.
I've been lost the last 10 days. I haven't had a COVID test, and I miss it.
You just feeling violated?
I just would like to encourage everyone, behind the scenes, the city and Main Street and the Chamber Board group really tirelessly to help you prosper. That's really our own goal, we prosper, so is our community. And the only way for us to help you do that is if we stay connected to you. So I just really, like the mayor said, encourage you to stay connected to Lynn, the mayor, and Jenny, and me, and tell us what's going on. Tell us how we can help. Help us help you. We can't do that if we don't know, and we can't do that if we get caught in negativity. The reason that we've all done so well this year is that we have remained positive, even though we had no COVID test and all of that. Through all of it, and we prevailed, and we will continue to do that, but we have got to do that every solid minute. If we're not connected, then it's taking really time. So please help us
Last thing, there's a couple of sign-in sheets that kind of started going around, where we were wanting everyone to, put whatever contact information that you have, so that we, if we need to contact somebody, we have a list of names, phone numbers, email addresses, or anybody that you think that's not here, if there's, managers, or, go ahead and add their names to the list. If you haven't already done that before you leave, you would find one of those lists. And we have an extra sheet up here too. Actually, no, I took it in my pocket. I'm sorry. There's an extra one right here. So just make sure you put your information down before you leave.
And the city was good enough to film this, and I've already had some requests for this link. And I'll put that, we have a new Downtown Wetumpka Merchants Association that Danielle has helped to organize, and now has a Facebook page. So we'll put things on that page, and then we'll have a separate email list as well. So if you know someone who wasn't able to make it but would be interested in seeing the link, or maybe isn't as involved as they could be, let them know that this is an option.
Piggybacking off that, some of the merchants came in and we did a advertising campaign, and that starts here Monday. So hopefully that's gonna work out, and if it does work out, then maybe next time, if we want to do it again, maybe some of the more merchants will come in. So that's pretty cool. And I know the city was talking about doing some stuff, but we just went in and did it together, some of us. And so look for a commercial to start airing on WSFA starting Monday.
All right, well, I appreciate it.